Today's question is, I think, a very good one, and it's also the type of question that if one person's asking it, there's probably about 1,000 people who actually want to know the answer and didn't ask it. And that question is a girl's blueprint a type of guy she logically thinks she wants, or guys she tends to go for given her history? This is a really interesting question. It gets at the idea of girls having their sort of logical mind and their emotional mind, and they're basically asking, is the blueprint a reflection of the logical or the emotional mind? The actual answer to this question is it's both, and also that this question is like scratching the tip of the tip of the tip of the surface of the iceberg of what blueprint actually is. So what is blueprint fundamentally? When I say a girl's blueprint, what do I mean? Well, the idea of using blueprint in game is this. Girls generally are more similar than different. And so for the most part, the way to be attractive to women is to be an attractive man. That's the foundation. That's the basis of everything you're doing. And a lot of guys make huge mistakes in trying to adjust to a particular girl and forgetting about being an attractive man in the process, or in trying to adjust to every single girl before they learn how to be an attractive man. Right? There are plenty of guys in the world who get a crush on a girl and try and do all kinds of specific adjustments and do all kinds of special things for this one girl, and in the process haven't worked on themselves, are not being attractive guys, are being supplicating, are being needy, and the girl just gets very turned off. Right? So the foundational element of game is be an attractive guy. However, once that's in place, there are a lot of specific adjustments you can make to be more effective, more attractive, build a better connection with a particular girl than just with girls in general. And so what is blueprint? Blueprint is anything about the girl's biography, life history, attitude, temperament, mental chemistry, anything that could lead to a useful adjustment. And so yes, the type of guy she's gone for in the past would be a good clue as to what her blueprint is. That would inform you as to some of the things you could do to better adjust to her blueprint. And yes, the type of guy who she logically thinks she wants would also inform on what is her blueprint. Now, they'd inform in different ways, right? The guy that she's gone for in the past might inform on the types of behaviors you should have, whether you should be polarizing, those kind of things. Whereas the idea of what she thinks she wants would inform more on comfort, more on what sorts of things would be palatable to her parents, her friends, what type of story she'd like to tell herself after the date, those kind of things. And both are very useful. But blueprint goes so far beyond these things. Blueprint is almost every unique defining characteristic of a girl. All of these things affect the blueprint in one way or another. So the point is, the idea of blueprint can get very complicated, but it doesn't have to. Okay? You want to keep it as simple as you can, but no simpler. And here's how you should effectively use blueprint in the real world. Here's how you can not get overwhelmed by all the details and zone in on what's really important. The first and most important things you want to consider when looking at a girl's blueprint are the things that are the most dramatically different, and also the things that are relevant to dating. So as the person asking the question mentioned, their past history with guys is a very good starter factor for a blueprint. But other things would be their view on money, success, ambition, what they perceive of as value. Right? So anything that reflects on what they see as high value, both sexually and societally, is going to be a big element of blueprint. And the other one is, what do they feel comfortable with, or what builds comfort for them? So again, with value and comfort being huge elements in game, value and comfort are huge elements of blueprint. And what may be value to one girl will be a lack of value to a different girl, and same thing with comfort. So for example, certain girls will love a guy that's entrepreneurial and want to see a lot of value in that and see a lot of aspiration and want to be with that guy. Other girls will see a guy who's entrepreneurial and think, that's unstable, I don't like that. I would like a guy with a solid, good job that has a title like doctor, lawyer, accountant, and that's what I see as value. And so for those two girls, when you're asked the question, what do you do for a living? You're obviously not going to lie about what you do for a living or change your job, but you can present your job in a different way that's going to cater more to emphasizing the upside potential of it, or maybe more towards emphasizing the stability of it. And so that's a way you would understand the girl's blueprint, her understanding of what is value, and you would make an adjustment to that blueprint. You also, by the way, are not bending over backwards or changing who you are to make that adjustment. You are taking the package that is you and presenting it in the most palatable way. Right? But you are still presenting you, and you are still being yourself. You do not want to adjust to blueprint so much that you're no longer yourself. You, again, also, as I mentioned earlier, don't want to adjust so much in blueprints that you're going away from fundamentally what is an attractive man. Now let's look at comfort. Let's say that for a particular girl, she's going to date a guy who is, let's say, a professional fighter. For some girls, this would make them feel very safe. This would make them feel taken care of. They'd be like, okay, when he's with me, nobody's gonna fuck with us. Nobody's gonna mess around with him because my boyfriend could beat them up. My boyfriend's tough. My boyfriend will take care of me, but my boyfriend will protect me. On the other hand, other girls would feel intimidated and threatened by this, especially maybe if they've had a history of maybe men who were overly physical with them or violent with them or something like that. They might have a bad association and they might feel massively uncomfortable with a guy who's a fighter. So again, this very same characteristic for one girl's blueprint might be a big comfort builder, for the other one might be a big comfort destroyer. Now, if you were by chance a fighter and you're meeting one of these girls, that would change how you would present it, right? You would present it for one girl as though I can take care of you, I can handle my shit. With the other girl, you would present it more as, you know, you should never fight unless you have to. I'm actually a gentle person and it's not really in my nature to fight, but this happens to be something I'm very good at, for example, right? So the way you present the facts of your life will affect how she will perceive them. Also, even the order in which you present the facts of your life. For example, if you know that the girl might not like that you're a fighter, you might steer the conversation towards other topics early on, talk about other things, and let that come up later on once she's already gotten to know your character and feel comfortable enough to be able to handle it. So that's a good theoretical look at blueprint, but on a practical level, here's what's likely to happen. As you talk to more girls, you're gonna start to see patterns. You're gonna see a particular way that a girl carries herself or a way that a girl responds to a question, and that's gonna remind you of another girl that you've talked to before, maybe even another girl you've dated before, and you're gonna be like, wow, I see the similarity. I understand this girl, I understand this blueprint, and you're gonna know that the things that worked with this one girl, the things that attracted this one girl, the things that made this other girl feel good and feel comfortable and feel loved around you are probably gonna work in a similar way with this other girl, right? And I've noticed this even with certain countries that girls from. Girls who are sort of high achievers from certain Central European countries have a lot of things in common in terms of their worldview. That's part of their blueprints. And the same sorts of topics and ways of communicating that works with one largely work with another, right? Because there is that similarity. Another example would be intelligent, high-achieving girls, like girls that have played sports and gone to Ivy League institutions. They have a certain way of viewing the world and a certain way of viewing themselves that drove them to work so hard and achieve a lot. And so the life history and view that got one girl there, if it's a similar life history and view that got another girl to that same place, they're gonna have a very similar value system. They're gonna respond to a lot of the same things. They're going to expect certain things from men because they've probably been around a certain type of men in their life that may be different than the type of men that more average girls or girls that aren't so high achieving and haven't been in those different environments may be accustomed to. So again, once you've dated one girl like this and then you meet another girl that has those similar characteristics, you can know very well how to calibrate to those characteristics. So once again, I absolutely love this question because the question of is a girl responding instinctively and emotionally or logically is a great question to ask about all kinds of things in game. Like across all kinds of conceptual areas of game, ask yourself that question. That will deepen and heighten your understanding of game tremendously. However, ironically, as good and deep as this question is in general, in terms of the idea of blueprint, it was actually very narrow because blueprint is not just that, it's literally everything. Everything about a girl could potentially contribute to her blueprint. And the closer you can calibrate to her blueprint, the more that the girl's gonna find you not to just be a high value guy in general, but the guy that's just right for her, the guy that's just the perfect match and just gets her oh so well. And when that happens, the connection can be absolutely incredible. Okay, so that's today's Ask Todd V. I absolutely love that question. If you have a question that's equally good or even remotely as good, write it below because I want those questions. Thanks, see you next time.